In our next article from the New York Post, leader of Black looter mob inspired groups calls for the creation of a race offenders registry. Oh, wow. Woo! Boy, we going down to shit shoot to crazy land real quick. Oh, it's the European nut jobs. Woo! These people are batshit crazy. Woo! Talk about some fruitcakes over here. A UK blacktivist who calls herself the Black Panther of Oxford because she's narcissistic wants to create a race offenders registry that would bar alleged racists from getting work or living near communities of color. Apparently, white is not a color. Apparently, black is more of a color than white is. Apparently, black is not the absence of color. It's a color. And white is where there's no color, right? Right. Makes about as much sense as everything else they said, right? Sasha Johnson divulged the agenda for the Taking of Initiative Party, a political group in the UK that's inspired by Black looter mob, the registry of racists and thought criminals is similar to the sex offender registry. Oh, wow. So does that mean that, like, if you say anything that's perceived as racist, that you're going to have people like showing up to your house in the middle of the night and banging on your windows like they do to the pedophiles? Quote, if you were to be racially abusive to someone, the register would question whether someone is fit enough to hold a particular job where their bias could influence another person's life, end quote, said Johnson, who serves as an executive committee member of the TTIP and oversees activism. Quote, a lot of racism happens at work and places of education in microaggressive ways. So let's translate this into English. Everybody at work is respectful to me, but there was one person who wasn't nice to me, so that means he's racist. That means I know you don't see this racism. It's like all the time, but trust me, it's there. Just because you don't see it does not mean it's there. No, it's a microaggression. No, it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm always a jerk to everyone that I think is racist and that these people don't want to associate with me because I'm toxic. No. It's the white man because they so racist because they get that white privilege. So she added, and if you exhibit an element of bias at work, so an element, so if you have any sort of elements of anything that they effuse, so if she pulls out the straw man and she says, this person who I'm arguing with resembles this straw man, therefore my opponent is racist and his argument is invalid. This is called a straw man fallacy. So if they exhibit any straw man fallacy bias at work, you should probably receive a warning first before later getting added to the register so people know in the future that you hold these views and quote, so they could target you for hatred, harassment, and intimidation and hold you down, prevent you from working in this town ever again because you crossed the minorities and they're going to be the majority here because the white people are feminist and it makes them have low birth rate, and they're going to be the minority in America and in Europe because they keep allowing in mass migrations of millions and millions of Muslims and Latinos. So now it's going to flip. Now we're going to be the minority and they're going to be the racist people who are targeting us because they're half our age on average and they're taking over and there's nothing you can do about it. They're not going to be as nice to you as when you were in control. It's not going to happen, dude. No. It's all about me and mine. Rules are for thee, not for me. No one's going to stand in between me and what the white man has. Or white man. The National Registry would also bar alleged offenders from living near ethnic minority groups and include anyone accused or charged with a race crime. I really don't think that they would care. I think after this, after you did that to them, they're going to say, get me the F away from these crazy people. Later, peace. Don't want to talk to you. Quote, if you live in a major colored neighborhood because there's white is not a color, the only people with culture are non-whites, because there's French people don't have the same culture as English people and German people and Russian people and Ukrainians and English and American. They're all the same. They're all white, right? That means all of their cultures are the same, and they don't have any culture because I'm black. And my ancestors wear more colorful clothes than them. So that means we have more culture because we speak a different language. Because everybody speaks English, right? Right? That means that everybody's culture that means you don't have culture. Because you're in the majority. You're the dominant culture, right? So that means because you're the dominant culture, we got to take your white privilege, divvy up all your money, give it away to all the minorities to give them equity, because it's your fault that white people own slaves. White people were the only people in the world that owned slaves. There was never a single African that owned a slave or sold another African into slavery. There was never a single white slave in Africa. The American Indians never owned slaves. Neither did the Latinos, right? The only people in the entire world that owned slaves were white people. Right. None of this makes any sense. None of it makes any sense. It doesn't make a lick of sense. Slavery came from Africa, dude. Humans came from Africa. Guess what? One of the first things people did to other people was enslaved their ass. Down in Africa. They've been enslaving people since the dawn of humanity. Slaves have always existed in Africa. To this day, one of the only places in the entire world that has slaves outside of Nazi China is Africa. They have a higher rate of owning slaves currently in many African countries than America did at the height of slavery. Oh, but it's just the white man's fault. Because in reality, in this world, African Americans spend on average 71% less money on education than white people do. Asians, I don't remember the number. Asians spend way more. They invest in their children. And when you invest in your children, you get a return on your investment. That's not racism. It's called common sense. It's called being a good person, a good parent. Maybe you should try it sometime. I bet you it'll do you some good and your kids. But they want me to get on my knees and beg for forgiveness for all of the sins that the white people did back before they had the internet, back before they had modern medicine, back before they knew the sun revolved around, or the earth revolves around the sun, and that there was gravity, and that that the gods didn't create the universe, that it's almost infinite, might even be infinite. Nobody knew any of this stuff, like until maybe some number of hundreds of years ago. Like most of these things were like, if somebody back in the day, back when the white supremacists dominated the world, if they saw our modern medicine, if they saw this show, if they saw me right now, they would think I was a magician. They would think I was like God, or I was like some demonic entity and they would probably murder me, and they would be incredibly savage about it. That's because back then people were stupid. People were highly uneducated. They would die from nasty diseases. You would have barbarians come through and wipe out your entire village, enslave anybody that they didn't kill, rape all the women before they murdered and burned them alive, or beat them to death or cut their head off. We've got a long history of savage, brutal thugs in this world. Very long history. Could not even touch the history of savage, brutal thugs with like a crew of thousands of people. We couldn't even touch all the stories of savage, brutal thugs. We couldn't even look at them all. There's so many stories of savage, brutal thugs brutalizing people who had less than them. But the white man invented modern technology that brought us out of that and made it so we're not poor, made it so we can communicate with each other, so that we have democracies, so that we don't have Nazis controlling the place. And that's why we don't have oppression. It's not because the white man won't share. That's crazy, dude. No. You gotta make your own money, girl. I can't make money for you. You take my money, it's just gonna be like a Band-Aid. What's gonna happen if you take all of the money from the white man and divvy it up equally to all of the minorities? What's gonna be the result? Communism. That's called communism. Equity. Give everybody a fair share. And what happens? Well, the dude who was running a business, who had a razor thin margin because he's providing you, he or she is providing you with ultra cheap goods where their margin is so slim they could lose money really easily. But the risk compared to the reward, the ratio is good enough so it justifies the risk that they're taking, selling you these dirty, cheap products so that you can have modern society. But if you take that, let's just say they have 10 times too much money, right? But they're working on a 15% profit margin, right? And so where's this? How much money are the people actually walking away with? Maybe a couple of $1,000,000 for the people who started the business, maybe, like if they're lucky, right? Maybe they got really lucky and they had 10 million, $100 million, right? It's a very small number of them, right? So what's the other option? Okay, well, we take all their money and then we divvy it up to all the minorities, and then they don't have enough money to run their business. And then you don't get the goods for really cheap. And then the people that you gave the money to don't know how to run a business. They can't replace the goods that you just took out of the market. The world doesn't work that way. It takes multiple generations to build wealth. You can't just snap your fingers and do that almost anywhere except for America. Why? Because the white man is good. Not because the white man is bad because they won't share, but because the white man gives you an equal opportunity, but they do not guarantee equal opportunity, equal outcomes, because that is not the way the world works. The way the world works is everybody tries, everybody rolls the dice, everybody gets their random cards and puts them on the table. And some people have a better hand than others just because of the way it was randomly distributed. Some people got a full, some people got like, what do you call that? A full house. Some of them got a full house. Some of them got garbage. Some of them got nothing. They folded right away on their first term. But what's more important is not that the first time you dealt the cards that everybody won. That's not important. The most important thing is that you're able to play the game again, and that you're able to do it enough times with as few burdens as possible so that in the end, you're going to get a full house. You're going to be the one that wins. Winner take all, takes all the chips, because you put in perseverance. You did your due diligence. You looked around, you communicated with people, you made a network of people, And that network of people helped you out and made you rich. That's the beauty of America. But if you start calling these people racist, saying you're a piece of shit, white supremacist, you got white privilege, we got to take your white privilege because you got bad intentions, you're trying to oppress the minorities and the whamen. So we got to take your money and divvy it up equally. Communism. And then it's like, it just doesn't work. Nothing about this works. Like you can't just like take the money from somebody else and give it to somebody else and then have the money be worth the same. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't. When you take the money, you have to generate, money is time. It's time. Some people's time's worth more than others. What do you do when you take all of somebody's time and then you go give it away to other people who didn't earn it, that didn't generate anything in the economy? It's called slavery. That's what communism is. You got to have an incentive to work. Somebody's got to organize all these people. You think, oh, well, they're taking such this huge cut. They're not doing any work. I'm doing all the work. Me, mine. I'm the victim. And you don't take into any account how much time it takes a business person to create these businesses. And then they just want to come and just tear your business down overnight because they think you said something racist. What else we got? I'm tired of this crazy chick. We've covered her in too many stories. She's a narcissist. She's just out there for clicks. Look, this woman, let's look at this crazy chick one more time. This one. She's toxic as it gets. I wouldn't go near this woman with a 10-foot pole. You want to see let's see the thumbnail. She made it on a thumbnail before. This woman has been on the show in the past. Sorry, looking for the thumbnail. She's here somewhere from that picture from the Vogue magazine. She's here, I know it. So I made the thumbnail. Damn, I can't find her. Okay. I might have messed up. Well, anyways, okay, so we looked at her. I'm sorry. Maybe I started adding her in there and then I replaced her with somebody else. I might be having a faulty memory. But hey, hit that like button if you like this content. Got something out of it.
consider sharing it with a friend on social media. It's the best way that you can help this channel grow, so we can reach as many people with that real news. Get rid of that fake news. Show people the truth. Pull the wool out from over their eyes. But it doesn't help it doesn't happen alone in a vacuum. I am only one person. I'm not God. I cannot. I do not have any sort of telepathy abilities or any other spooky stuff. Requires actual physical human beings to actually do work in this world. So if you want to help the message grow, just send people over to rsscommentary.com. Have them check us out on YouTube. We're on Periscope. We're on Twitter. We're on Parler. We're on Rumble. We're on everywhere at RSS Commentary. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button. Ring that bell for notifications. And then you'll get to see my antics and shenanigans every time I go live. Not every time, I mean, but if you really want to, you could probably do that. We could probably set you up with a system where you could always be informed when I go live. But you're just going to have to go ding, 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 ding up there on YouTube with that bell.